You know, when you feel really uninspired and you just have no idea what to cook for dinner again. You're standing in the middle of the kitchen and you need to feed everyone shortly, but you've no idea what to cook. Well, today I'm very excited to be interviewing the lovely Karla from Mexican Food Memories, and she is going to provide us with a whole heap of inspiration. Karla is a cookery teacher and Mexican food writer. She has been living in London for the last 20 years and has turned her passion into a career, and now does Mexican cookery classes from her studio in North London, and also writes recipes for magazines and newspapers. So hello, Karla. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Becky. I'm really more than happy to be here and talking about food, which is my passion.
Yeah. Now, I love on your website, you say, since I remember, I've always loved cooking, especially my family Mexican recipes. You know, the ones you have in your heart that take you back to Mexico every time you eat them. So what is your quintessential Mexican recipe that, you know, really does this for you?
For me, probably it has to be flour tortillas, and it's just a very simple recipe that my mom used to make. It's called bistec ranchero, which is a steak strips just fried with tomato, onion, and green pepper.
Yeah.
It's a very, very simple recipe, but for some reason, those are the two recipes that take me back to Mexico, especially the flour tortillas, because I'm from the north of Mexico. So in the north, we do eat as much flour tortillas as corn. And my dad used to make them sometimes early in the morning, and the whole house would smell of flour tortillas. So yes, I love making those at home, and my children really love them. So those are the two recipes that I probably have very close to my heart.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. That's
You
amazing.
know, it's really funny because I used to complain when I remember as a child, when arriving from school and, smelling this ranchero that my mom usually would make when she didn't have time to make anything else. I used to complain like, this ranchero again. And now I kind of just loved it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it? How food can be so evocative, and you know, the smell and the taste, it can really make you,
Yeah.
it kind of takes you home to yourself,
Yes,
doesn't it? Yeah.
it does. It does. And, especially now that I live abroad, to recreate the flavors of my family cooking is very important to me because, I mean, although we try to go to Mexico every year, but it's not the same. It's, especially during winter. Oh my God, I suffer. Every winter I suffer in this country. I'm not.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. It's so dark, isn't it? And so yeah, very different to Mexico, I imagine.
Yeah, after so many years, I haven't been able to get used to this weather. Getting dark so early, the cold nights,
Yeah.
snow. So no, I'm sorry. I love England, I really do. And I love living here, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
the
So,
weather
and
is
is all Mexican food quite spicy? That's why when I think of Mexican food, I do think of, you know, quite spicy
no.
food. Is that right?
No, it's not spicy at all. And that is one of the things that I always tell my students when they come to learn with me. Um, what we have always, if you go to a Mexican restaurant or if you get invited to a Mexican house, what you would always find on the table is a spicy salsa. If you get invited to a very proud Mexican family, it will be like a freshly made. But that is how you add the heat to the food by adding
Okay.
salsa. I mean, yes, some of our dishes are spicy, but not all. I
Yeah.
mean, imagine, growing up as a child eating spicy food is like a no, so it's not true.
Yeah.
So these spicy salsas are the ones that kind of add the heat. And as far as I remember, that's how I grew up. My dad would make amazing spicy salsas. They were really good, and I still make them here.
Wow,
So
amazing. And
yeah.
what do you think when you have your cookery classes, what's the dish that everybody sort of really enjoys, like learning how to make the most? Do you think that like there's something like you have a standout dish at all there?
Yeah, well, I have different type of classes. So I teach each class like focuses on a region of Mexico. But in all the classes, I teach people how to make corn tortillas from scratch. Well, not from scratch, because making corn tortillas from scratch is to make the nixtamal, which is cooking the corn kernels and everything. But I teach people how to make corn tortillas with masa harina, which is the corn flour that we use in Mexico. So I think that is probably everybody's favorite recipe, because I don't know if you ever try to make Mexican food at home, but when you try to make Mexican food at home, and if you try to find corn tortillas in the supermarket, they're none. I mean, you can't really find them. So making your own corn tortillas at home is just very fun, and is the most useful recipe that you can actually have in your repertoire of like Mexican cooking.
Yeah. So in your cooking classes, tell me about your cooking classes. How does that work?
So I have, for example, one of the most popular classes is called Baja Feast, because the recipes that we cook are from Baja California, the region where I'm from in Mexico. And there we cook Baja fish tacos, which is probably the most well-known recipe around the world. And also we do a ceviche, we make corn tortillas, we make a spicy salsa from scratch. And I teach all the little elements to make like a feast, or a Baja feast.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Yes, and on top of that, I teach like little techniques, the history of the dishes, some history of the region and all the stuff. So every class is unique. So I have another one where we make mole, which is the famous Mexican sauce. I don't know if you have ever heard of mole.
I haven't.
Yeah. Mole basically means like sauce in Mexico, and we have different types of moles. But in the cooking class, we do mole almendrado, which is an almond mole.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach the elements of how to cook a proper mole sauce, and all the side dishes that you would have when you cook mole. And for tortillas. And I also have a special class where I teach how to make corn tortillas and flour tortillas from scratch. And yes, so
Brilliant. So what we'll do is I'll put the links in the video underneath, so people can find your website and find out more information if they're interested in booking one of the classes.
Thank
and
you so much.
Website or something
Yes,
like
thanks.
that. And so what is your favorite like festive recipe? Do you have a favorite recipe?
Yes, I do. Mexico is a very big country, and therefore every region, I mean, the cuisine in Mexico changes depending on the region. But I grew up in a family where we always had tamales for Christmas, to eat during for Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So a tamal is basically like a little parcel. Imagine the corn husk of corn on the cob, the leaf that usually it gets, they leave it to dry. so it's like dried. So you have to rehydrate that leaf. And then once it's rehydrated, then you spread this dough that you make with corn flour. And then you stuff it with whatever you want, chicken, beef, vegetables, whatever. In my family, we usually flavor that dough with a chili that we have in the north of Mexico, chile colorado, a red chili. So that gives the distinctive color of the tamal. And the filling, because we usually do my mom's family recipe for tamales, it's a mixture of shredded beef and shredded pork, kind of infused with this red chili again.
Wow.
And we put lots of vegetables as well, carrots, courgettes, potatoes, in like long sticks.
Yeah.
It's a really long process, believe me, and it takes a long time to make, especially this tamal recipe. Not all the tamal recipes take that long, but this is my mom's family recipe that we would always make every single 23rd of December. And then we would eat on the 24th. So then that parcel gets like cooked in, it's in a steam, you steam them.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Then you need to take away the leaf, because obviously it's not edible, and you eat the inside together with these beans that we would cook for that day, which is frijoles puercos, piggy beans, pinto beans.
Yeah.
With chorizo and all that stuff. As any Christmas dinner is something that you would eat just probably once a year and not all the time. So it's quite heavy, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
So that is my family recipe for a Christmas dinner in Mexico. And it was a whole affair to make these tamales. And we would not only make 20, we would make 150. And we would eat tamales for days. Ask any Mexican, they would tell you the same. When you make tamales in Mexico, you don't make tamales for the night. You make tamales like if you were going to sell to a crowd. Seriously. And yes, and you eat tamales for days. So that whole family would help, especially on this recipe. And it was really fun growing up, because my mom would make that dough, my dad would make the stuffing, and my older sisters would do something else. And my brother and I were the young ones. We would help to wrap the tamales. So it was really fun.
It sounds lovely. It sounds like a real, it sounds like it really is part of it. Is your Christmas, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Everybody comes together to prepare the food, and then you eat the food for days. It's the same with us. We all have a massive turkey. Regardless of how many you are, and then you have to eat it for weeks afterwards. But
you know what? At least with the turkey, you can do like several things different, all the dishes with the leftovers.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, with the tamal, I mean, you can cook it in a different way. You can fry it, you can steam it again, but that's it. That you eat tamal after tamal after tamal for days. And it was fun, but so they were delicious. So I'm really happy that I grew up with that tradition. And but as I said, every family is different. So as being from the north, that means that probably some families in the north do eat turkey as their Christmas Eve dinner. And probably some parts in center of Mexico have all the traditions. I do know that, for example, the center of Mexico, a lot of people eat romeritos and bacalao as well, which is a type of fish. And in
Okay.
the South, they will probably eat something different. So yes, so that is definitely my ultimate Christmas Mexican
Yeah.
dinner.
It's interesting, isn't it? How in different regions we eat different things. I guess because um, we're quite small country, it's more
Mm,
the same, more or less,
yes.
you know. Although,
Yeah. How do you grow up like eating turkey all the time?
yeah, turkey, with all the roast vegetables that's on Christmas Day. Yeah, and with the Christmas
Yeah.
pudding. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the other thing that, for example, because we are a Catholic, well, Mexico is in general a Catholic country, we usually do we do celebrate Christmas Eve. So our main dinner is on Christmas Eve. So
Right.
my family would start preparing everything on the 23rd, and
Hmm.
then we would have the main event on the 24th. And then on the 25th, guess what we would do? We would go to other people's houses to continue eating probably more tamales or whatever people made. Actually, I do remember that one of the other dish that we would make at home was this special soup for the following day. It's not for the faint-hearted because it's like, again, something quite substantial and heavy. But my dad would make it in case that they would drink a little bit too much on the 24th. So it was menudo, which is tribe soup.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
So the following morning, the adults, usually the adults would have for breakfast menudo,
Right.
uh, which is something, I know that here, tribe is I don't know if it's still in fashion. Probably is coming in fashion, hopefully, because it's really good. I love it. So as a child, I used to hate it. I used to
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's
but
not.
now it's really nice. Especially, the way my dad used to make it is very flavorsome. So the following day would eat for breakfast menudo. The afternoon we would just have more tamales, and in the evening you would have a tamal for dinner. So it was a tamal affair.
Fabulous. Thank you. Oh, it's been so lovely to talk to you, Karla, and hear all about your food memories. And yeah, so fabulous. So if anybody's interested in finding out more, then yeah, do click on the links below and go through to Karla's website and look up her cooking classes. And I wish you a very lovely Christmas, Karla. Have a lovely time, and thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for inviting me, and it was a pleasure to talk to you about my Christmas, my Mexican Christmas, and I wish you the best as well for you on your Christmas. Thank you so much.
Thank you.